For a long time, she said nothing, believing that dignity was proved through silence. But there comes a point when silence no longer protects truth. It protects the very people who betray it. Private memories have been twisted, confidence is broken, and the Presley name used carelessly by those who should have known better. So now, with calm and conviction, Donna Presley speaks. Not for attention, but because honor demands a voice. Why, Billy Stanley, do you deny those who showed you love? Why deny the truth you know? Elvis would be appalled.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Donna Presley, and I'd like to welcome you to my official YouTube site, Donna Presley Official. Today is in response to Billy Stanley's remarks. I'm going to speak in a way I've always avoided, but the circumstances now demand it. I've never cared for confrontation, and I find it quite distasteful to speak in this manner. I've always steered clear of it, particularly when family or those who spent much of their time on the Hill are involved. But there comes a moment when silence no longer feels like grace. It begins to feel like surrender. For years, I've held my tongue, believing dignity would speak louder than noise. Yet, too many things have been publicly said, things that twist history, question who I am, and even question who has the right to defend Elvis Presley. On a YouTube interview, Billy Stanley said that only those who were family and close to Elvis have the right to defend him. I want to start there because that statement is as false as it is offensive. What does it even mean to have the right to defend Elvis? It means you don't spread lies, you don't repeat disgusting stories that tear him down and stain his memory. Because some of what has been said about him, the vile things whispered and repeated for shock value, are not defense, they are betrayal. You protect the truth about a man who gave everything to this world. Why is it so impossible for people to accept that it's awful, truly awful, to repeat those kind of stories? They wound the family, they distort the truth, and they rob the world of the beauty that was Elvis Presley. Anyone who loves Elvis, who respects what he stood for, who values his contribution to music and humanity, has every right to defend him. You don't need permission. You don't need a bloodline to tell the truth. Elvis belongs to no one and to everyone who honors him with respect. And let's be honest here. Some of the ugliest, most vile falsehoods about Elvis came not from outsiders, but from those who claim to be family. Billy, your own mother went on national television and accused my cousin of the most unthinkable of incest with his own mother. The world watched in disbelief. Families, friends, people who had loved Elvis all their lives sat stunned at that grotesque lie that was spoken aloud. It wasn't only vile, it was soul-destroying. It defamed a son's love for his mother. It shattered decency, and it wounded us in ways words can never repair. And you say Elvis doesn't need defending? Those lies are what I mean when I say betrayal. Billy Stanley, your family were given everything by my cousin: comfort, opportunity, acceptance, and love. Yet many disgraceful things were told by your family to the media, and still we stayed silent, believing that dignity and love would speak louder than outrage. But there comes a point when silence becomes complicity, and that point has way passed. Now, about the rest of what Billy said. He claimed he didn't remember me around Graceland, as if one man's memory could rewrite the past. Incredulous. He knows I was there. He absolutely knows I was there. I even babysat Billy and his two brothers when they were young, when I spent my summers there. Billy himself once reminded me of it, laughing about how he and his brothers used to run rings around me when I tried to keep them in line. And what makes it even stranger is that later in the same interview, he admits that I and my family were not the ones asking for anything from Elvis. Billy, you can't have it both ways. Either you remember me or you don't. Make up your mind. In that same conversation, you suggested that anyone who doesn't forgive what others have said or done will go to hell. Billy, forgiveness is not silence. Forgiveness does not mean erasing truth or pretending that wrong never happened. God does not ask us to be blind. He asks us to be honest. And honesty means confronting the harm that was done, not excusing it. And this idea that I somehow changed my name to prove I am, that's absurd. I didn't need to change anything to prove anything. I was born a Presley. I was born in this family. My heritage, my memories, my experiences, they don't hinge on what's written on paper. I carry the Presley bloodline, the Presley stories, and the Presley truth that cannot be taken, renamed, or denied. And since you asked what my daddy would think about using the Presley name, here's the truth. My daddy loved Elvis. He would have done anything for him. And he was proud that I honored my mother's request that I use the name and accept my birthright. That name represents love, loyalty, and family, and I carry it with the same pride and respect they did. I have always kept my counsel. For years, I chose silence over spectacle. I have allowed myself to be pushed around, misrepresented, and quieted, all in the hope of keeping peace within a family that has already suffered too much noise. But it's over now. I will not be quiet anymore. I was there. I saw the man behind the music. I saw his kindness, his humor, his longing for peace. My mother, my grandmother Minnie Mae, my Uncle Vernon, we all stood with him through joy and through struggle. We didn't take from him. We loved him, and we still do. And let me say this clearly. I know a great deal about the people who lived on the hill, more than I will ever share, not for anything. I was brought up to understand that what happens on the hill stays on the hill. When I was grown, and my Uncle Vernon reminded me of the family creed, that silence about family matters is an act of loyalty and love, I will take that to my grave, and that's the way it should be. Elvis belongs to his fans, his faith, to his family, and to those who speak truth with respect. He belongs to every person who refuses to let his name be tarnished by vile lies and twisted motives. And as long as I have breath, I will defend him with facts, with heart, and with courage. God knows I stood for him through lies, through betrayal, through every filthy word they have dared to speak. And he knows I'll die standing before I'll bow to another lie. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening. Until next time, God bless.